Welcome to Film Study at All American Universe podcast with Lexi. I'm Lexi. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Rate the podcast 5 stars if you listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. We're getting into like the last couple of episodes of season 5, and it's been, I think, a mixed bag of the season. But I have Kay on from the Purple Teapot, and we've been to talk about Mask Off, All American episode 5. I want to say this is 17. Yeah, this is 17. All American episode 517. So here it is. All right, Kay. Overall thoughts. What would you rate it out of 10 and why?
Oh gosh, I didn't come prepared with an answer.
Oh, you're fine. I can give my rating if you want.
Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say it's a solid 7.5. 7.5. I thought I think just like last week, I thought the story structure, shout out Micah Cyrus and obviously James Lafferty directed it, but I thought the story structure was pretty easy to follow. I think that we've gotten a bit of a break from All Americans 20,000 storylines, or maybe we're just like used to it now, so it's like when we just focus on 5 characters, it's like, oh, this is light, this is a light episode.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, I think the stuff that interested me again the most was the stuff with the women, and I don't know why that is. Like particularly, obviously, like Liv's journey in this episode, and
loved it.
Yeah, it was great, and Layla, and I think it's probably because All American excels with family stuff, and then it's like family and romance, and then when it gets out of that bubble, I'm like, I just really connect with their family stuff, I should say. But what would you give it?
The first number that popped in my head was a 6. It probably
that's fair.
Yeah, I can't even explain why it's a 6, but maybe a bit higher. If we're doing 0.5s, then I'll do a 6.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I'm giving it. I'm sort of grading it on a curve because we got to see Sam dance and we got to see Michael try to dance, which was hilarious.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I think that boosted it up quite a bit for me.
Yeah.
But to that point, it's just where we are in the storylines is not very exciting.
Yeah. I think that's why in my head it said, my head was saying 6 because it wasn't.
Yeah, it was
exciting.
Not, especially for, and I think this has been true last week, and for this week it's true, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but the main storyline, the football stuff, just is not, it feels so, at least for me, disconnected. I think like the Patience storyline is like, can we bring this to a close, please? They introduced a fun twist with the Patience storyline, which we'll talk about that first, but it's just like some of these things, it's like, can we just do something? Yeah, do something like do something different. But we'll get into Patience a little bit. We're talking about Patience 2.0 for like the 1000th time.
She's probably not on 2.0 anymore. She's
literally like on Patience 4 or 5. Like, I mean, it's just like, I don't understand how many times she has to establish for herself that she doesn't like. It's like she's just not vocalizing what she wants, or it just feels like she's going back on the vocalization. But it was like finally tonight, obviously with the help of Sky, after this interview, which shout out to the I've been following the actor that played the dude that was doing her interview. His name is Ken, I think Ken Moss. So it was really cool to see him.
Yeah.
I want to say that was his name. But it was really cool to see him in that role, because I was like, that person looks familiar. So shout out to him.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, she's doing an interview. Sky helps her out with it, which that part was cool to see, because when they're doing these music storylines, we don't really get to see sort of the nuts and bolts of the music industry, and that is something that
Mhm.
is incredibly common, where an artist is looking to like look into their team to be like, oh, can I answer this question? What do I answer for this question? So that part of it, those little small details were cool to see, but
Yeah.
the grander conversation about Patience being uncomfortable with this new iteration of herself is just getting so repetitive and
Yeah.
annoying, and it's just she could have had that conversation with Layla that she had at the end
Mhm.
a very long time ago. Like, it honestly, at the end of the day, who cares, Patience? Who cares? Like, if you want to do a freaking acoustic song, do an acoustic song, but stop sulking around like all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. It is repetitive. I think she's just I think she's just looking for validation, and
Yeah,
whatever validates her in that moment, that's what she wants. I think,
exactly.
yeah.
Honestly, that's true, and I think that's probably why it's gotten a little sort of mind numbing to watch this, because it
Yeah.
does just feel like she's just looking for validation, looking for people to tell her what to do, looking for
Yeah.
people to scope out the problem again instead of sort of
Yeah.
vocalizing that problem
Yeah, without
herself. And that's
Coop.
just so annoying.
Yeah, without Coop, she's got nobody to tell her what to do, or like she's got
That and that
nobody. Yeah.
and we thought that she was going to tell her what to do, but you're correct. It does feel like, with her story in particular, the writers are still treating her as if she's an attachment character.
Yeah.
Like, again, sort of taking her cues from another character just by the weight of her being sort of a side character. But it's like, if you're going to expand her story, you have to she cannot be this reactive person. Like, what is she
Hmm.
making happening? She's not making anything happen. I think everybody else, how is Sky telling you,
Yeah.
oh, we need to do this like, what if
Sky just
how
got
is Sky
here.
a
Like,
more yeah how is Sky a more sort of action oriented character than you are? You're really just taking things sort of as they come, and it's a very, I think, frustrating, but I hope it comes to the end. But the interesting twist on that was that Sky kissed her,
yeah.
which Patience be getting all the women, bruh. Like,
Yeah. It's true.
JoJo, Sabine,
That is true. Forgot about Sabine.
now Sky. And it's like, Sky, you should have been with Patience from the jump. You can't go back
Hmm.
now. You done dated Coop and whatever.
Exactly. Oh gosh. So Coop was right to be jealous. All those
Was she
episodes.
right to be jealous? Because Coop wasn't jealous of, she was jealous of Sabine, right?
But I thought there was an episode where they were that
Oh yeah, it
she
was
was a bit
super early on. I forgot
yeah.
about that.
Oh yeah,
I
there
forgot
was
about
that.
that. But it's just, yeah, it was very odd. And but yeah, Coop was right to be jealous. She I don't know. That was just a very odd kiss. And somebody pointed out that Sky said, like, "Oh my gosh," like she was shocked. It's like,
I saw
you're the
that.
person that kissed Patience. So what are we doing here? It's just very random and very odd. And it was,
Very.
I'm glad Patience put the nip in the bud, but I hope it comes back up,
Hmm.
if for nothing else than to create some drama.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, so
I'm
yeah, I
sure it will
mean,
come up with that
yeah,
whole recording thing.
yeah, and then yeah, because it wasn't only like a recording; it was a video recording. So that there's like evidence, right? Video
Video
evidence that
evidence. Oh gosh, I didn't realize it was
Nico
video.
popped back up by, yeah.
Oh,
She
she's
said
awful.
Nico's thing said video uploading, yeah. So I don't know. I don't understand like
Oh
the where
gosh.
Patience's story is going. It feels like one big question mark.
Yeah. I
Well,
see
the
her.
thing is, I understand, but it's like, what is the end goal here? Like, what is the purpose of this story?
At this point, she's gonna quit music at the end of this season.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would be fine if she took a break from music.
Yeah, Coop, come back. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Don't even, no, we don't. Well, I think
I
that
don't
they
do
need
that
to
here.
just
But
start bringing on popular artists for Layla to work with.
Actually, that would work. Oh, that would
Yeah,
be great for
yeah,
promo too.
it would. And speaking of popular artists for Layla to work with, switching over to her storyline,
Hmm.
you know, she's getting into this habit, right? She is who she is. She is, we could all see this coming at some point or another. I mean, I could see
She's
it
her
coming, right?
father's daughter.
She's her father's daughter, and she's always been the same way. Like the same way in terms of her work ethic and in terms of her sort of determination and taking a lot of pride in what she does for work. And so sometimes she can get a bit sort of deeply involved in that. So we get, the first Georgia Love moment that we get in a while,
Yeah, it's been like a
which by
month
the
and a
way, we love
half.
it. Can
Yeah,
we get more of them just in the room, like waking up together? We have not gotten
yeah,
that
that would
in
be
a very like
nice.
I don't think that was like the first time ever, right?
Yeah, unless you count when Liv woke them up in her
Yeah,
episode.
I don't count that because it was like depressing. But yeah, I was just like, Jordan's there all the time apparently, and we just like never
Yes,
see them together. So it was a really cute moment to see, and he just he looks so funny. I was just like, man, they look married, dude.
they do. They honestly
She was
do.
just
It's
all
so
dressed, and he
comfortable.
wasn't at all, shirt off,
Yeah,
just very comfortable. But he was trying to, she had like a very, very packed schedule. He was trying to figure out a time where they could connect, have a date night, etc. And she was just like, yeah, nah, bruh. Nah, I can't even make it to Liv's thing. But don't worry, I already talked to her about it, right? I'm finna send some flowers or
hmm,
whatever. And so she was just stressed about her schedule. But then, again, it was gonna go help Patience with the interview that we were talking about. Patience ended up being like, nah, like Sky has it handled. And Sky did have it
wow.
handled.
Yeah.
And goes to brunch with her dad. Um, and her dad ends up sort of following her along on this like very, very packed day that she had. But ultimately, it just served as a good reminder from him. Honestly, in a good follow up from the conversation they had in 412 when it said like don't let your desire to be a mogul, don't let your desire to run a business come at a cost to your
Hmm.
personal life. And I think this was a good opportunity for that reminder to be, I think, echoed back to her. And I think that she
Yeah.
already, you know to me it didn't feel like old Layla in the sense that she was like being hard-headed or like not concerned at all. Like I
Hmm.
actually think she was struggling. I think like Greta played that a little bit, like struggling with her
Yeah.
schedule and struggling with like missing Liv's thing in the beginning and struggling with like not being able to, or not thinking that she could sort of go out on a date with Jordan and things like that. And so it's like when her father said that to her, it was just another check to be like, yeah, yeah. I'm tripping a little bit. I gotta reassess. I gotta
Yeah.
reassess. But what did you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. It definitely was like her just I think that that moment was a bit of probably a reflection, and just with everything that's been going on, her trying to with the whole label and the naming of it and everything.
And the child that is Patience that she has
Yeah.
to spoon feed everything to 24
Yes.
7.
Oh, and that too. Yeah. Yeah, just
Yeah,
a reminder.
yeah.
That was you're true. You're right about it just being a reminder. And I feel like with everything that also went on, like with Billy's death and her being a support system for I feel like she's probably gotten, or like she's been really busy. Maybe she's playing catch up. I don't know.
I think so. And I don't think that they like explicitly said that, but she, was being there for them, right? Like
Yeah.
dropped a lot of things. And when you're running a label, and we don't always get to see it, but she does have more artists than Patience. She mentioned scouting
Yeah.
somebody from London. I think earlier in the
Mhm.
season they mentioned her taking quite a bit of artists, or like quite a bit of
Mhm.
artists left Clay's label to come over to her. So she's busy, and she's not. How many people does she have on her team? Two, with Sky and Gia, and it was alluded to in this episode. But I'm really hoping that they let her bring somebody else on that can like run the day to day. Obviously, her dad ended up
I want it to
doing
be
some stuff for
JP.
her. I want it to be JP too, because I just think that would be
Them doing it
such,
together.
yeah, an interesting dynamic, and especially with that talk that JP, like Layla's mom helped JP early on in the days, and like Excel wizard or whatever, and was handling the accountant, like she accounting for the firm. I think that she needs that, right? She
Yeah.
has to start to learn to delegate, and I actually think
Yeah.
that would be an interesting storyline for her. And I think separating that storyline out from patience, hopefully, I think, and just like moving beyond patience, and actually seeing her sort of in different meetings, right? She was talking about having like a pyrotechnics meeting, like let's follow Layla to some meetings and see her grapple with delegating these tasks off to different people. Because if
Yeah.
she's going where she wants to go, she has to learn that she can't take on every single battle, every single fight,
Yes.
every single meeting. Um
I think her dad could
and
teach her that.
I think so. I think so. So I think that he would be cool to bring on, and just to have that study. He was talking about moving to, what was it, like Costa Rica or something? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you're just like letting your daughter know that you're moving off the face of the not off the face of the earth, but
Moving
you know what I
even
mean? Like
further away. Where does he even live?
It's that part, like you just completely forgot. Talking about in season 4, talking about something like, oh, this is a temporary move. Nah, you just like, oh, the baker's got her. Bye. Like, okay. Sure. Your daughter is like 18 years old. You're like, oh,
I don't
you're
believe he
grown now.
lives in Beverly Hills still. He's somewhere else. No way.
You're grown now. You're out of my house. It's crazy. It's wild to me that he just dropped that so casually. Oh yeah, I'm moving in with my girlfriend. Bye. Like, what?
Yeah.
No, you better take that A&R job, bro.
Mm-hmm. Evan can stay in LA with him.
Exactly. But eventually, again, she sort of came around. Patience talked to her, whatever, and she was just like, yeah, I noticed that you've been down about this, and it's like finally you're saying it, right? Like, to stop not saying things, just communicate with me, and signed off on the acoustic version, whatever.
Yes, which sounded great.
It was great, and finally, like, making it to Liv's award ceremony just in time, and we'll get into that when we talk about Liv. Okay. And then later on at the end was just like, you know what, Liv's too important to miss, and also you're pretty important too. That girl is in love, man.
just pretty. For real, she's gone.
Love.
I love that.
Just
for her.
Gone, right? Like, let's take you still have days of spring, but days, right? Not a day, not a night, but like you have a couple of days. Let's go off to Catalina, girl.
I want to
do your work. Weren't you just complaining about your schedule? Get it?
Get somebody else to do it. Yeah,
I love that for her. She was just like, nah, I gotta attend to my man. I love that for her. I just I love that for her.
I still need to see one of these dates. I need to see one of these dates.
Honestly, they've been gypping us. Like, if we don't get a freaking flashback of them like walking through the door from vacation, what's the point?
Exactly.
What's the point?
Exactly.
But no, it was a really cute ending for the two of them. And so that was that. On to Spencer. I just did not connect with storyline, and I think it's because
of Alicia.
We saw Marco for one episode. Like, we as the audience are not invested in this character at all. And it was a really important story to tell, not being used for your identity or being seen as a token, which, Marco, had decided not to play at GAU, signed on to another team, and that team was sort of trying to use the fact that he's gay to sort of to their advantage, and he really wanted to take control of his own story, his own narrative. But again, really important message: we don't care about Marco. Like, I mean, we saw him for one episode, and now we're supposed to just
He's
act like
best
they were
friends with,
cool.
yeah.
Best friends with Spencer,
I
hiring
would have
some
believed it
random.
would have more if it was Asher. It seemed like we got to see them more together, like
Exactly.
chatting.
And why was Sal going to be his trainer? I just didn't think that that
Yeah.
made any sort of sense whatsoever. They didn't establish
Maybe
Sal
they
as
met
like,
somewhere. I don't know.
but I feel like if they were going to do that, I wish they had done some stuff at the top, like in last week's episode, to say, like, because he said to Spencer, "Are you trying to train?" He could have been like, yeah, I train with like all the top college recruits or something. Just that sort
Mhm.
of line to give some weight to this, so it doesn't feel like it's just being shoehorned in.
Yeah.
Um, as with a
That would have
lot of
made
things in this
great.
football story,
Mhm.
it just feels like they're just like throwing stuff at the wall for this football story, and it's not following a cohesive line of thought. It's literally just whatever's working for that episode is like what they'll do in terms of the football storyline. And then the practices are all over the place. Like, are they all day practice? Like, what is going
Yeah.
on, man? Like, y'all can't be practicing 6 out of the 8 hours
Yeah.
of the
There
day.
was
Like,
a moment where Jordan said, "Oh, this is more important than practice." I thought he wasn't going, and then the next scene was him at practice with Spencer.
yes.
I was very
It's just,
confused.
yeah, yeah. And I know it's oftentimes with like the football stuff, they bring in consultants. So it's like they always mention game changing films as the consultants that they bring in for football stuff.
Mhm.
But seeing this episode and seeing last week's episode, I'm like, I think that you know there has to be a little bit more of an effort to make those football storylines seem cohesive into the story if it is being done
Yeah.
by sort of like outside folks, just because it's you know the pacing of the episode and the setup and that structure of the episode is not making sense
Mhm.
uh when we're talking about the greater storylines of the rest of the show. So it's like there has to be some sort of connection with the folks that do the football stuff and the writers in the room, if there isn't already, just to make that a little bit more cohesive, because it's
It's
really
true.
you overlook it for a couple episodes, and then when it becomes a trend, you're just like, nah, y'all gotta fix this. Y'all gotta fix
Yeah.
this. Because it just wasn't giving. And again, maybe this is just a little bit of disappointment, because I thought Chris was gonna come back, and he did not. But
I
it was
forgot
just
about Chris.
it wasn't giving. I'm sorry, it wasn't giving.
Yeah.
And then the president suddenly just doesn't care that one of the dudes
Yeah.
is an ex-con because Marco Galvez is transferring. I don't know.
Mhm.
It felt a little too neat and tight, and this seemed like something that should have been a storyline over a couple of episodes rather than just in one episode to me.
Mhm. I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. What did you think about the whole Marco Galvez?
Um.
And we're creating our own identity, making our own story.
I think I like the storyline.
Hmm.
I just don't think, as you said, I don't think it flowed that well. Like, yeah, I think with everything else that was going on, it felt like, where did they find time to do this, to have all these conversations? And I agree that it should have gone on it should have been done in more than one one episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing for the Grace thing. That felt like it popped up out of nowhere in terms
Yeah.
of changing Spencer's bedroom, because he was literally
Grace shouldn't
just
even be back. Grace shouldn't be
sleep.
back.
Okay, you know what? I'm so glad you said that, because I just thought about this. How are they going to have Spencer sleeping at the James's house,
Mhm.
right? When he was sort of avoiding his grief, having parties and everything like that. Then the next day, we see his room. It's pretty bare. Like, literally, his room was. I think his room had stuff in it. But then the next time we see it, it's pretty bare when he's just chilling in there.
Mhm.
Um, and then the next episode, Carter's like, "Oh, we're moving back for Spencer." And then the next, like 2 episodes later, Grace is just like, "Yeah, I've moved all of your stuff out of your room, and I'm changing it into a craft room." Like,
Right.
what? What?
It's very confusing.
I'm
Really and
just
truly, that should
the
have never been his. He should have never had the expectation of that. He should have already let go of that room being his after Grace said that she was leaving. But
But also, like, Grace should have turned it into a craft room a long time ago. Like, I don't
true,
understand. I don't understand why it came up now. And it
like a
was,
year ago.
I'm just very confused as to how, like, I think that they're having good things to say about the storyline. So it's not the storylines in and of itself. It's like where
Yeah,
these storylines are popping up, it just
yeah.
doesn't
I
make
think it
sense
was
and it
to.
doesn't flow.
I think it was to show the contrast of how Grace treats. Oh gosh, I just forgot her name. What's Spencer's girlfriend's name again? I just
Oh,
said it.
Alicia versus
Yeah, Alicia versus how she treats Olivia. Yeah.
mhm.
So I think that's probably where I don't know. They
But
needed
what does that have to
something
do
to
with
do.
Spencer's room? Like,
I don't.
that's
They
what I'm
needed
saying.
something
There's
to
just
do.
that's what is bothering me. Like, it's these like things that again are good storylines if you take them in
Hmm.
and of themselves, but as a part of the larger storyline, they just are not working, are not
Yeah.
flowing correctly, and are sort of at odds with different things that we've been given in this
Yeah.
season. And I think that is especially, I think once we hit the latter half of this season and like how they've been sort of so focused on Billy's death
Death.
and setting up Billy's death and the coming back after Billy's death, that all of like the stuff with Spencer, the stuff with football, the stuff with Grace, it's like all of these people that would share these scenes with Billy, they were just like throwing stuff at the wall at this point. And it's like, I
Billy
don't,
was the glue.
yeah, like, and it's crazy because they have a really great opportunity to do some like meaningful stuff with
Hmm.
him gone, but it's like, did you actually really need this man to like have like, or else just get
Yeah.
rid of these characters? Not, obviously not
It's
Spencer,
true.
but like Grace, like, why is
Yeah,
she still
Grace really
here? We
was
don't.
very unnecessary. That was
Very unnecessary. Why is Laura inviting Grace to this part? Like, Denise could have
in
easily
it.
been at the award ceremony, but
She would have
obviously
been
it
so
was to
much fun.
show, she would have been so much fun, but obviously it was just to show uh again this thing with Alicia, which is okay. Let's get into the thing with Alicia.
Yeah.
So Spencer was going to skip and plan to skip Liv's ceremony that she
Hmm.
invited him to because he assumed it was a family thing.
Hmm.
And then Grace brought it up to Alicia, and then Alicia's just like, "Oh, Liv is the reason that we're back together." Blah 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 blah. And the vortex, ugh, that word, takes care of each other. So blah 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 blah. And it's, first of all,
I don't like that word.
how are we getting like Spencer going from? At some point, we need to have this. I'm not even talking about the last conversation they had, but a couple of episodes ago, in the middle of the grief storyline, when Spencer was just like, "Oh yeah, we have to have that conversation," or avoiding conversation with Liv, right? What That's how it started, right? She told him
Hmm.
how she felt. He was avoiding it. That's the same episode that Billy died, and then they had to sort of deal with Billy dying, and it was just like, we need to have that conversation, but we need to have it when we're cleared headed. Once he sort of started on his journey to grieving and everything like that, he was just like, "Oh, I owe you a conversation. Let's take that walk." And now you're still with Alicia. So what's going on?
Yeah. Why has he not broken up with her yet?
Why is he not broken up with her? And it feels like he's pretty committed, right? Was gonna
Yeah.
skip the awards ceremony to go on a date with Liv. And
It's really
I mean,
strange.
I mean, not to skip the awards ceremony to go on a date with Alicia, and then so it's just like, Spencer,
What
where
does
is
he
your
want?
mind at? What is your mind at? Why does Alicia need to tell you to go to Olivia's thing? Like,
He's I don't know. I don't like the way that I don't think I like the way that he's been written in this situation. Like,
I don't like it,
it's
yeah, at
just
all either.
it's making things long for no reason. He should have broken up with her. He should have gotten back together with her. He should have been like, I think we should still stay away from each other after
That
his
part,
grief episode. Even if
that
he
part.
wasn't going to be with Liv, he should have just
First
like.
of all, they should have done an actual breakup, because that letter where she said, come to
Hmm.
me,
I
when
thought
you're
that was
up
a
for it.
breakup.
That was not a breakup. That was not a breakup. And then they sort of came back and said, just kidding, it was a breakup. Oh, and then Liv helped us get back together. Like,
They don't know how to
no.
do breakups on this show because I thought Sky and Coot were broken up too.
And then it was like, oh, I don't know
Yeah.
what our status is. How is it that Jordan and Simone was like the only clear breakup that we've had on the show, besides like,
Yeah, because
other, maybe like Asher and Liv and things like that. Like, it,
hmm
it makes zero sense whatsoever how they handle breakups on this show,
yeah.
because, to your point, Sky very clearly broke things off with Coop and is coming back the next episode and saying, "Oh, we're in a weird spot." What? And then
Yeah.
obviously, and then Alicia was basically like, "Take the time that you need." Oh, we broke up. Like, no, what? What is going on? Like, it
Alicia.
just it's bothersome.
No, you would think after what Alicia said about how she was in a similar situation that she would like turn around and
Be
be
more
like,
clear.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
like,
That she was just like, maybe literally saying like, maybe you're not ready for a relationship, but that's not at all what her letter said. Her letter was all about him grieving and taking the time to
hmm
grieve. So, but none of that is aside from the fact that Alicia is annoying, number one, for even being like, she should have just said you should go and support Liv. She doesn't need to be there.
yeah,
And number two, Spencer is annoying for needing to be pushed. And I saw people drawing the comparison of like Layla needing to be pushed to go to the award ceremony versus Spencer. I don't even think those things are comparable, because once again, Layla showed a desire to want to be there,
yeah,
to have had a conversation with Liv about why it was that she wasn't going to be able to make it, to still make arrangements for flowers, to tell Jordan, right, like cheer loud or whatever. And you saw the desire for her to want to be there. And her dad didn't say, "Oh, you need to go to Liv's thing." She made that choice
yeah.
on her own after her dad said, like, work isn't the only thing that's important. Spencer literally needed to be XYZ. Why aren't you going to Liv's award ceremony? Like, no, we have to go. Like, what?
hmm
And then didn't even have a conversation with Liv about not going. Liv was just like, "Oh, I just thought you were mad." Like,
Oh, yeah.
just, I, I'm tired.
Liv needs to stop giving that man grace. What is he
Dude,
angry about?
literally, I don't. I
Oh, it
know
was
this is
about Jaden
hugely
Davis, but yeah.
unpopular. I know this is hugely unpopular thing to say, but
hmm
let me say this: the two of them together, because I'm people always get on me for pointing out Spencer. The two of them together have not shown me that they've grown enough in their communication to get back together by
hmm
the end of this season. Um, because we have 3 episodes left. Spencer's just ditching the award ceremony to go out on a date with his girlfriend that he got back together with. Hasn't had any sort of conversation with Liv after leaving that on the "I still, still in love with you" tip. Um, and is just like not communicating to her.
hmm
And then for
The
Liv
reason why
just
they
to
broke
sit
up.
there, it's to sit there and like just accept the fact that, oh, Spencer hasn't had this conversation with me. Oh, I'm assuming that Spencer, is mad about the article, which he has said that he's not mad about, right? Like, not taking his word at face value for Liv. Um, and again, just like doing this holding pattern thing for Spencer, who, from what he's shown her, like, might not even come back. You know what I mean? Like, just
Yeah.
from what she sees, might not even come back. She's just putting herself in this holding pattern, and again, not taking extra steps to clarify things. Like, why didn't you go up to Spencer and say, "Hey, how come you aren't coming to my show? Like, why did you, or coming to my award ceremony? Like, why?" I'm just gonna start laughing because I'm so tired of talking.
Yeah, it's all the time. What was I gonna say? As usual, I just want her to go ahead and paint the town red with her girls. Maybe she'll find, when she's exploring college life, maybe she'll find somebody
Yeah,
cute.
I'm excited that she did have that conversation with Spencer, right? Like, I'm, a college student and I've spent most of my time off campus.
Yeah,
And so I'm excited for the next episode for sure.
yeah, very excited for that. It's what she
Um,
deserves.
it is what she deserves. It is what she deserves. And we've been talking about Liv a lot. So obviously she was going through a ton of drafts, didn't really know what to say if
Mhm.
she were to win the award. And Laura tried to help her listen to, what was it, 7 to 8 drafts, right? Gave her notes. Liv kicked her out because she gave her notes. Then Jordan tries to step in, like takes her, again, one of my, probably my favorite part of the episode was the Liv and Jordan bits of it where they took the
Yeah,
dance class. Jordan was awful, right? Liv was killing
yeah,
it.
but it was
There's a lot of
amazing.
conversation. There's a lot of conversation about Liv potentially being a better dancer than Keisha.
Oh no, I agree.
I'm not getting into that debate, but it was just a funny conversation to witness. But obviously, then the dance instructor said something that reminds her of Billy, and so she takes that. She and Jordan have a heart to heart again, just about moving forward. She has a heart to heart about Spencer, like how do you move forward, and then ends up winning the award. Like I said, Layla sort of came in right on time to help her take her to the stage because she couldn't move after winning. Obviously, she takes the mask off and says like, "I'm accepting this award as Olivia Baker," and then essentially does a eulogy for her dad.
Mhm.
I'm I'm
What are
trying
your
so hard.
thoughts?
I'm trying so hard to respect this post death story that they've got going on, but I'm just so
You're tired of it?
tired of the Billy Love Fest. Like, this
Yeah.
man does not deserve it. Is why is Olivia, after everything that she went through, after
Mhm.
fighting with Billy to even have control of her story and to even push it along, why
She's in that phase of grief where that person's just absolutely everything, and you
is the
kind of just
hero? And I'm
forget
just
the bad
I
things. And he did a lot of bad things.
and that is like completely normal, but just as someone who watches a show, obviously I've made no secret that I despise that man. Um so it's just really aggravating to watch, especially because so many times that they've just like, just made up random crap. Like made up
Yeah.
random crap
Oh,
that
like
is
when
not the
they
Billy.
all got in a circle and said all those amazing things before the funeral with
Exactly.
yeah, very
Exactly.
unnecessary.
Or even like, oh, your dad was brilliant. He made all these plates. Like,
Hmm.
what are we do? Like, why are we lying? But anyway,
Was a change
um,
maker.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad that they're not just dropping Liv's grief. Let me say that. I love that she's getting to honor him in her own way. Obviously, took the jersey, put it up in her room, and that's sort of how we ended the
Yeah.
episode. But I'm just like I'm tapped out for the Billy Love Fest. Love Fest. I'm sorry. I think that Liv should feel confident in getting her award, and she can honor her dad. But it literally became, this was Billy's article, and it was like, no, Liv, it was your article. You did the work.
Yeah.
Billy was like on the side doing
He
jack.
did the little
So
things.
exactly. Exactly. But again, I love that they're just continuing to, they're not dropping the grief, they're showing it's sort of natural progression. To your point, it's the hero stage. But that was the episode. That was
Yeah.
the episode.
Yes,
Any
it
thoughts
was.
on any last thoughts on Liv in that?
Um, I'm glad that she got to say that it was her who wrote the article. I hope we get to see her write more articles, probably not about football. Maybe she can
Yeah.
focus on something else.
Yeah, just her. And I think, like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No,
but
carry on.
just expanding beyond the guys, they've had Olivia lean on the men in her life a
Mhm.
lot. A lot. Whether it's that she's helping them, or I think in the last couple episodes, she's been like, you know, going to particularly the last like season and a half, 2 seasons, like leaning on Billy, leaning on Spencer, leaning on Jordan, which is great. I love the Liv and Jordan thing, and I love, when Spencer and Olivia were
Same.
together, they would confide in each other.
Mhm.
Billy is a whole different story, but having Olivia sort of be independent, which I'm so confused because I feel like we got that at the top of the season, and now it's sort of
Mhm.
reverted because of the
Yeah.
article coming out and because of Billy's death. It's like reverted back to her going to the men in her life to like ask them what to do to move forward, and I don't know if I love that. I
Mhm.
don't know if I love it. And again, I love that, Jordan and Liv are becoming closer, but uh I just want to see Liv make Liv's decisions like she did in the beginning
Yeah.
of this season.
You're right.
She killed it on the dance floor.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta
She
say.
did. She did her
Also,
thing.
shout out, she has somebody pointed out that she has pictures of Jordan and Layla on her wall in her bedroom, which is so cool.
Mhm.
And she
Cute.
changed her bedspread. I don't know. I'm just like set design things, pointing it out. But I'm like, they're starting to change set design around a lot, which is cool because it's been
Okay. I
the
didn't
same
notice the
for the
bedding.
entire series.
They were like, oh, they've been at home. They've been at home too much.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, you know what they remember on Twitter? There was a picture of Grace
Laura
and
that we didn't get to
Laura.
see. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that because I'm not here for this relationship. Like I said, Laura should have taken Denise. And that's what I'll say on that.
Okay.
So I'm glad that scene got cut.
Yeah. I would have wanted to
But
see
yeah,
what they say. They probably just gossip. Maybe we'll see it next episode. I don't know.
yeah. That was that. Predictions. This is how you do it. Just Dance. This is episode 518. The GAU football team is undergoing some growing pains, and Spencer is challenged to try and bring them all together. Asher and Jamie are ready to share their news, but not everyone is supportive. Coop is stumbling on new challenges in class, and Olivia is learning that Jaden Davis stirred up more than the football team, but it ultimately sends her in an exciting new direction. Carissa, I will not butcher her last name, directed the episode written by Robert Doty, and Obiageli Ademit. I'm not going to butcher your last name again. But you'll see on the screen. You'll see on the screen. Uh, Asher and Jamie, what do you think about this?
I'm wondering who. Maybe one of Ash's parents come back on the scene because I
Yeah,
don't
I have
know.
to think it's like a parents adults thing because
Yeah.
I don't
Everybody
see any
else.
reason why any of the Vortex would be upset about it.
Yeah.
That would be weird and random.
Very weird. Maybe
So
we meet
I'm just gonna
Jamie's
call it the
parents. I
parents.
don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So some of the adults, whoever that may
Yeah.
be. Um, Coop stumbling on challenges in class. To be honest, we do not care.
No.
Insert Mike Tomlin gif, which I don't like the Steelers, but I like Mike Tomlin, but we do not care. Uh, but yeah, I think that's gonna be just her keeping up with the work and things like that.
Hmm.
Spencer challenged to bring the team together. At this point, like I don't know.
Why is the
Watch
team
it be
so
the next
apart?
episode. That's what I'm
Didn't a
saying. I'm
couple of
like,
weeks ago, like, didn't
not even a
Jordan
couple
sort
weeks
this
ago.
out?
They're just doing literally like just in the last episode, right? They're showing up for voluntary practices. So now
Oh,
it's going to be
true.
like, oh, nobody wants to show up for voluntary practices. Okay, what happened a week ago? Like,
Hmm.
so that's what I see happening there. Olivia, I think, is going to do what she said. She's going to explore college and see just the far reaching
Yes.
effects of how her article impacted, I think, just greater student activities um,
Mhm.
within that. And I think, obviously, doing some stuff with the Black Student Union, perhaps a
Would
fashion
love that.
show, wink, wink, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh, is
uh,
that the wink wink? Okay.
yeah, that's a wink, wink. Um, and then, is that it? Is that
Yeah, that's
everything?
it.
That's everything. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been pretty straightforward in the last couple of episodes, so I'm
Mhm.
very interested to see how they wrap up season 5. I just want it to be more exciting. Like, I don't it's been very, I think the pace has slowed down quite a bit since Billy's death, and it's like, okay, back to the drama. Interesting drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. I hope this episode's better than this week's episode. I always hope that the next episode is gonna be better than the next, especially
Same.
we head towards the final episode of the season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are you most excited for? Let me say that.
I think Olivia on campus doing her thing,
Same.
because we don't get to
Same. I
see
always
we don't really get to see any. Everybody's doing football. You don't get to see them do anything other than football when they're at. Oh well, we got
school.
Coop,
Yeah.
but when they're at school.
But yeah, nobody cares about that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm the same. Like, I just want to see what GAU is all about and get to explore that world a little bit more. And see Olivia again, just branching outside of her family and, like,
Yeah.
expanding her circle. So that's what I'm most excited for. Those are our thoughts. Those are our predictions.
Yes.
And yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode, and thanks for listening. And thanks for being on, Kay.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening,
Yeah.
everybody.